Hello there. Welcome over, pals.
Hi there, everybody. And hi, Dr. Yarnax.
Hello, Nurse Pokin. How's it going?
It's going good. I just was hanging out with you last night on Discord.
Yeah, it was my last night in lab and took a little break from my work. And what we do?
We watched Time Bandits.
Time Bandits. You can see by the name of this episode, Time Banditooooooo. Because Yarnax is a little bandito.
Yeah, we got Yarnax, the little deputy halfling illusion from one of the heritage crates. So he's a little bandit now.
Yeah, I mean, you see on Instagram where Yarnax got the crown of deceit to become a wood elf to look like my old warrior Neonite, and now I never use it. I'm always a bandit.
Yeah, I'm a little sad I put all that effort getting.
Yeah, you told me the other night, you're like, hey, you never use that anymore. And then I used it for all of like 10 minutes. And I was like, I can't.
Back to the bandit I go.
Yeah.
So do you know why that we were watching Time Bandits?
Yeah, so one of our guildies in PALS, Pomponius, really loves Time Bandits. He said it's great movie. I never heard of it before. I thought I did.
Either. No.
There was a movie called, I think it's called Ice Bandits or Ice Pirates, and I thought that was the same movie. And then I looked at a trailer, and I was like, this is not the same movie.
Oh, so you watched a trailer ahead of time?
Yeah, I watched, just like a few seconds. When I realized it wasn't the same movie, I stopped because I like to go into something completely fresh and not knowing what to expect. And I got that.
I've been watching the new Loki series. I also watch Rick and Morty pretty frequently, and sometimes when I'm on YouTube and watching some of the reviews, maybe I miss some, like, oh, they put this in here. This is a callback to Time Bandits or something, and I'm like, okay, well, I've never seen the movie,
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't get the reference. And then Pomponius was talking about like having to watch it. So we did our pals movie night that we sometimes occasionally do in lieu of rating or on an off night.
Yeah.
And we watched Time Bandits. And what was your thoughts?
It so it's a British comedy, right? But I can't remember if it's by the same people that created Monty Python. But I know some of the actors that are involved in that genre are in this movie. Sean Connery was in this movie. I really love Sean Connery. But I enjoyed it. It wasn't one of those like laugh out loud kind of movies, but you weren't sure where it was going next. I did like that aspect of it. My favorite part was, I'm not going to get into too much details, but my favorite part was the Robin Hood part. I genuinely laughed almost the entire time that character was on screen.
So I'm actually a pretty big fan of Monty Python. One of my friends in high school, we became friends because I think like the first day of school or second day of school, we both wore the Holy Grail like shirts.
Okay.
Like I had Angry White Rabbit, and I think he had like the Black Knight,
like yeah, that's
some
classic.
random T-shirt, And that even if it's British humor, is flat out funny. I know British humor can be a little dry, but this I feel like Time Bandits was a little too dry for my humor.
Yeah, it had its, like I said, it had its funny moments, but also had moments that are like, oh, I see they meant that to be funny, but I didn't chuckle. You just kind of, you just in your mind was like, oh, that was kind of funny.
My favorite part is like sitting in Discord with 10 or 12 guildies and basically being like Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Totally.
And chiming in when something funny or or weird happened. Like they threw that pirate off the ship, and all the Time Bandits and Kevin, which was the main character, they were all like laughing to each other. My first thought was like, Kevin's 12 and he just killed a man. He just dumped him in the ocean. And like chiming in with my thoughts, like Mystery Science Theater, was I think that's like the best part of doing like the guild like movie night. So
Totally. I think if we did it more often, I think we'd get more of that kind of back and forth banter,
but
which is great.
we talked a little bit after we had like a list of movies. I know Pomponius wants to watch
Big Trouble in
Big
Little China.
Big Trouble Little China, another
Yeah.
movie. I know Kurt Russell's in it, but not a movie I'm like ultimately familiar with.
Yeah, I saw that back. Probably the last time I saw it was probably early, like mid '90s, maybe. It probably used to come on HBO when I was a kid. But I remember it. I remember enjoying it,
I
but I don't
thought you were
remember the
gonna
plot.
say I thought you were gonna say Skinamax.
No, no, we didn't have that one, but we had HBO. We only had HBO.
And I know Cannabis wants to watch Cannonball Run.
Cannonball Run. I've seen that a few
Mhm.
times. Very, very nice.
I had mentioned maybe a couple of the Monty Python movies like The Miracle of Life or Holy Grail. What's the other one there?
Life of Brian.
The Life of Brian. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, like I've only watched the Holy Grail and like know that one. I've probably seen bits and pieces of the other ones, but I don't know them very well. I would
Um,
want to watch. I mean, I think Cannabis would be down with it. I don't watch Half Baked. I
Half
really.
Baked.
It's been so long since I've seen that movie. I used to watch it all the time, knew everything about it, and it's probably been almost 10 years since I've watched it. I feel bad saying that since it was a movie I watched a lot when it came out.
I know that I had mentioned Grandma's Boy. I don't know if you've ever seen that. That is
I have. It's been a
maybe
while. Yeah.
my favorite comedy of all time.
Yeah. I think we
It's just
should just.
one liner after one liner, and I really hope that we can watch that. I'd rent that for Pal's movie night. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun to have people, especially the people that are there like week in and week out, to like pick a movie and just kind of go around.
Well,
But
like
yeah,
Band Aid, Cannabis, Katricia. We have a couple. I don't think they'll mind me saying this, but we got a couple of like stoners
no, they don't
in
mind at
our
all.
guild. So
It's not
I
something they
think
hide.
definitely not during raids or whatever,
Yeah,
right? But I think obviously it's a big stoner movie, so I think I don't know. I could probably get my wife to come sit and watch that with us too.
yeah, or like Up in Smoke. It's been a really long time since I watched that movie. That's a classic one.
um, I see
Before
that
we change
you.
subject, hang on.
Oh,
Before we change
okay.
subject, I want to tell you a Pomponia story. And I told him I was going to mention this in the podcast.
Okay.
So, we've played Dungeons and Dragons, and I have my character Yarnax in our Dungeons and Dragons session, who is a halfling rogue.
Right.
And Yarnax is based off of, which you may not know, based off of the character Tasselhoff Burfoot, which is in Dragonlance novels. Well, Tasselhoff is a Kinder, which is similar to a halfling. Anyway, Yarnax in our D&D campaign was being very boastful about his role in slaying a giant, and he this woman, came across this woman, Penelope. You remember Penelope, right?
Is that the one that tried to?
Tried to seduce me, and Yarnax kind of turned her down. And then later that night, Yarnax went back to the inn, and he heard a noise. And so when he heard a noise, he heard somebody like rattling the door. And so he went to the corner and hid. Both roles were awesome, by the way. And so Yarnax was hidden in the corner, and Penelope came in and went like, "Oh yeah, she tried to poison my drink, right?" And
Something. I was gonna say. I'm glad you said seduce because I was gonna say another word.
yeah, let's not use that. Let's say seduce. Um, so like Yarnax got away, but Penelope's goal was to have her way with Yarnax. But I made amazing rolls and got away with it. And
Now,
so
how does this correlate with Pomponius?
let me get all right. I'm like turning the corner. So in the EverQuest game, which is separate from D&D, obviously, I would get tells from a character named Penelope, and it would just say like, "I'm coming for you, Yarnax," and then I would like try to reply like really quick, and it was gone. And then I think I even asked you, I was like, "Dude, are you Penelope?" And you're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then I thought maybe Rippy, because that seems like something Rippy would do, right? And so for the longest time, this was going on for months. Just randomly, I'd get this tell from a Penelope character, some kind of either threatening or just like, I still love you, Yarnax. And I never figured out who it was. So the other day, it was Tuesday, I get another tell from Penelope. And then I get a tell from Pomponius. And he was like, hey, by the way, it's been fun, but I got to delete the Penelope character. I need to make room for another alt. So it was Pomponius the whole time for like months. He carried this on. And he told me
That's so
that
funny.
the Penelope character was named after his dog. And him and Dracoco came up with that character together. And both him and Coco were so upset on how well Yarnax rolled and ruined their plans. But yeah, I told Pomponius I'd give him a shout out for his dedication to the Penelope character, and he really had me fooled. I would have never guessed because
Uh,
he's like part of our campaign, but I know he listens in and participates, and
right.
so I wouldn't have expected him.
Now I wonder if Pomponius and Dracoco got together and kind of did the whole gay bard leader weird guy that I met on Didgery that one day.
Maybe, yeah, we'll have to ask.
Because I think he touched my ass or like grabbed my ear or something. I
Yeah,
don't know. Even I was uncomfortable for being super flamboyant in the game.
right.
But I did get a cool Technicolor Dreamcoat
You did,
like
you did,
cape, so that was really cool.
yeah. And we're starting that up again, I think next weekend.
On the 10th, yeah.
Yeah, and so we'll throw a little bit of that in here. I think it's fun, it's relevant. But yeah, I just wanted to give Pomponius his credit for fooling me for months.
He is a fool. a fooler.
A fooler, yeah, exactly. You done fooled me.
So I wanted to touch base real quick. I know we don't really often bring it up, but I wanted to remind everybody that this is low production.
Yeah, I mean it's just me, in downstairs in my living room or at the kitchen table, just chilling
we
with
have
Pokin.
we have nice mics, and that's about it. We're doing this over Discord. We're
Yep.
not using any soundboards or any mixers
Nope.
or anything along those lines. We're not using any programs other than what OBS to help record.
Yeah, I know that's the
I'm
best
not.
way to do it. It's just something I had because I streamed on Twitch a couple of times, and I was
We're
like,
not
hey,
even using webcams. I'm not even able to see your face, which is
no,
something we could probably do. But
I didn't shave this morning. Yeah.
well, I haven't shaved in 6 months, so
Yeah,
um, but I think I wanted to kind of bring up that we had our first negative feedback, our first haters. So I think that means we're doing something right
yeah.
because haters mean they're intimidated by us or whatever. Not trying to toot our own horn or anything because, like I
But
said,
hey, at least they listened. I was like, hey, thanks for being a listener.
And I feel like if they would have listened to the podcast as closely, they would know that we're not trying to be funny here. We're not trying to make you guys laugh. We're just two guys talking about a game that we love, and hopefully you guys also love the stuff that we talk about. I was kind of hurt a little bit that I think that message was lost so immediately, and that they felt the need to give like the feedback that they did. But
Right. I mean, we're like you said, we're by no means professional podcasters. We don't want to be. When we wanted to start this, we wanted just to keep it as a conversation between both of us about topics we like to talk about, and hopefully people enjoy it. Um, Even if there were no list, I told you the other day, Pokin, like even if we had no listeners, which I enjoy our listeners by the way, but even if we had no listeners, I would still enjoy just talking with you for an hour or whatever. And that's what I like.
yeah, I feel sometimes like you and I text so often too that I'm not answering all your questions because I want to save some of that for the
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
But no, I definitely agree. I think we have obviously some goals. We want to talk about different zones and different expansions and different classes,
Hmm.
and podcasting is a form of like long form media, which you if you do a YouTube video, there's editing involved. It's only about 10 or 20 minutes long, and
Right.
what are you expecting to get done with that? But we're just off the cuff. We're here. We're talking, and um, so we only have 2 followers on Facebook. We've got over 30 on Instagram. So,
Yeah.
like I said, we only started publicizing that we were even doing this just last week, right? So,
Yeah, and
um,
that day we got like a lot of people listened in, and thank you for listening. Um, I think at the time of this podcast, while we're talking now, we have about 40 people who have like listened to almost every episode. Like I really don't know how it's calculated, but from what I see, there's probably about anywhere from 30 to 40 people that like listen to almost every podcast and listen all the way through. And that, to me, that's amazing. I can't believe that there's 30 people out there to listen to us. I really appreciate it and I like it. But we'll keep on going on just because, like I said, we like to talk about stuff and it's fun for me and I think it's fun for you too. Just
no, I'm
to,
having the worst
yeah,
time ever.
yeah, I know I'm dragging you every time.
um, so I did want to mention. I know you had just some house cleaning things before we get into maybe some of request stuff, but still generally related to what we're doing here. Um, you didn't realize Instagram was so popular.
Yeah, um, I'm older than you. I think I'm what, like 10 years older than you or so.
Social media, moronic, or how do you old people, you boomers or
Well,
whatever?
we like the Facebook. Get a little Tinaris voice in there.
Uh,
Um, so, yeah, Facebook. I mean, I did you ever use MySpace?
yes.
Okay, I don't know, man. Like MySpace was like the first one, and you'd have to set up your page and everything, and it was a whole thing if how to set up your page. I was like not that big into it, but Facebook early on, I'd say like 2010, I was pretty big into Facebook, posting almost every day and all that stuff. But now, I mean, we recently, because I didn't think about it, I think you added me as a friend on Facebook and already wanted to find me, and I've set up a barrier for anyone to find me. I think it was hard to find me, right? And then
No, if you're from my generation, it's really easy to find almost anybody if you
okay,
just put a little effort in.
yeah,
Actually, I think I found your wife first. I found you.
yeah. So I know like she doesn't use Facebook very often. I make a post like every 6 months, it seems. Um, so it's, I don't use social media that much. I do get on there and kind of lurk and see what people are up to and like read articles and stuff. But I think the EverQuest group that we joined is one of the first groups that I've joined on Facebook. And then you're telling me like, oh, join Instagram. We need. I was like, well, one step at a time. And I joined the group on Facebook. I don't even have Instagram downloaded on my phone.
So
So yeah.
Instagram's fun, only because what I normally do is I'll see someone in a movie or something, I'll go follow them on Instagram, or
Okay.
I'll see somebody say something funny on TikTok or something, and I'll go follow them on Instagram. And people use that platform because it's really easy to double tap and like a picture. If you're like me, I'm not very photogenic, or I'm not taking a ton of pictures of myself,
Yeah, I
but
don't.
at anytime I do, I have 500 people on there that know me somehow. Um, that toss a little like here and there when they scroll through and see that I've posted something. And so Everpels on Instagram, it's pretty similar. Anybody that's from the gaming community, you throw a couple of hashtags in your post. Anytime anybody hashtag searches EverQuest, we'll come up. So
Yeah. And I'm also barely on Twitter. So I recently
oh,
joined Twitter. I think it was like 2 years ago. And it's not even like my personal email, it's my professional email. And I followed colleges, I followed researchers and all that kind of stuff. So I don't get on there for entertainment. I get on there for networking.
yeah, that's what I kind of use LinkedIn for, but
I have LinkedIn as
Twitter, I
well.
don't know. Twitter's, um, I don't know. I not that anything against liberals or anything, but I feel like Twitter's very liberal, and there's a lot of hate speech that goes. It's people mistake it as progressive, so I don't
Okay.
know. I feel like sometimes I can't be on Twitter. I want to be a troll when I like people. I disagree with them on something. I use Reddit quite frequently, though.
See, I don't have the Reddit app either.
Oh, Reddit's great. That's where I
Yeah,
get all
I
my news from.
I use it like on computer. I just go through the web browser,
Hmm.
and like it's not the best to do it that way, but that's how I do it. And yeah, I like Reddit. I use it for a lot of information, but yeah, I'm old school in a lot of ways. So
So
you're telling me I need to get Instagram and make an account, or what?
no,
Okay, good.
stay off of it. You're old. We don't want you
Yeah,
on there.
I don't want to be on there.
Okay, so I have request stuff. I had a question for you, and I
Hmm.
thought it was a great topic for podcast or some of the stuff that we wanted to talk about.
We'll see about that.
I wanted to talk about good players and bad players.
Okay. Yeah, I think we brushed up on this. I don't remember which episode. We kind of talked about like how your reputation can be bolstered or ruined by like a few actions, right?
Old EverQuest, I believe. So it's really easy to just change your name now, and now you're
Yeah,
somebody
that's
else.
true. Ooh, yeah, that's true.
Um, so I wanted to let's start with like good players and maybe what like the dichotomy of being a good player kind of entails. Um, I think most importantly would be like having everything that you need to be valuable in a group or a raid setting. So, like you
Right.
mentioned before, Slow Coco not having his
I think it was a cure
was
corruption.
it
Yeah,
cure or was it a
it was a cure
corruption
corruption
buff?
because like
So,
corruption was something new that got added in the Serpent Spine, and I only bought spells that were relevant to our grouping.
so I think having everything that you need because you never know what you're going to need in a situation.
Right.
Sometimes, sometimes blind is valuable. In most situations, it's absolutely useless, but you never know.
Sure.
Um, I think also knowing your class.
I think
Uh,
that's like the biggest one for me is knowing your class and like what you're capable of, like knowing your role. Because I think through expansions, the role of a class may change. Say like druids, for instance. I know now, and I talked to Patricia about this, and it's kind of a joke with her, um, where I know she likes to DPS, and I know in like Planes of Power, all the way up through like Depths of Dark Hollow, um, and we'll have to get a druid on here to confirm this. But well, you played Rococo a little bit, so maybe you can touch on it. But
I heal.
they've shifted. I think druids have shifted towards the role of healing, uh, and away from being a DPS. Um,
I think it's coming up to that where druids are very valuable for their debuffs, like on raid targets.
right. Okay.
Cold and fire debuffs. I
Right.
think they become invaluable during raids. So that's something that we've talked about in officer chat where we might start implementing that for the druids to do besides heals because it's needed.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're a support class now and less dots, less damage, less doing things like that. We're snaring, we're rooting, we're doing support stuff, helping with buffs.
Yeah, but also like a player can be flexible to where, if there's a cleric already in the group and you're a druid and you're used to healing, you just don't sit back and say, well, I don't have to heal as much now. And you're sitting with like a full mana bar. Um, then you could shift your role to like more dots and DPS, even though
Hmm.
that's not your main role and what you traditionally do. I think being flexible as a player makes you a more well-rounded person in EverQuest.
I also think, you know, having those skills that you need. Some classes are very skill based. So, for instance, like rogues are disarming traps and lockpicking.
Yeah.
And if you fail a lockpick or you fail a trap because you just haven't put the time in getting those things, skilled up or leveled up, that's foul. you're not being appropriate with your class. Why are you playing a rogue if you're not going to skill up your lock picking? That makes no sense.
Yeah, I did that with my rogue poly. There were a couple of trick places where you could level up traps and lock picks, and also pickpockets, different things. You never know when it's going to come in handy.
Mm-hmm.
For the epic, it's needed, but there might be like a quest in an expansion where you need a rogue to steal something off of somebody. And yeah, just keep your character, like read about your character, know about it. I mean, your class and know about it.
And how can you go from a good player to someone like you and me admire as and say would be like amazing at their class?
Um,
How do you transcend going from a good player to like an amazing player?
wow, that's a good question. So I think some classes, you know, some classes lend to like have a higher skill cap than others. The ones off my top of my head are like bards. I think, bards, some of the things they can do, and also monks. And a lot of that has to do with pulling, because I think, the art of pulling, especially when the mobs can kill you in like 10 seconds or less. We saw some of that during Frostcrypt,
Mm-hmm.
and I think being able to do that. Let me think of some other classes that can do stuff like that. I think
Enchanters.
enchanters, yeah. I mean, a good enchanter can lock down like two mobs. A great enchanter can lock down three mobs, have them all slowed, and keep them all like in check. And like I was grouping with our leader Rippy the other day, and he boxes like five characters, and we're in Ashen Gate, and we're gonna go try to get some power sources. And I figured we have to clear to the camp. Well, no, not with Rippy. He's like, I can just mez and Mimbler, and we can just keep moving. And I was like, wow, that's great. And he's doing this on his boxes, mind you. And so
Right.
that's kind of the thing that really it kind of impressed me. I was really impressed by that.
One of the amazing people that I think I've had the opportunity to play with is Breadstacks, a shaman
Hmm.
that we had in our guild.
Yeah,
Um, to see him play a shaman, because in my mind, a shaman buffs and debuffs and
there's like
maybe
support
heals,
heals. Yeah,
but the buffing and the debuffing, that's where they're handy, right? But to see like Breadstacks pull and slow and tank
yeah,
and just be like overall phenomenal like as an ogre shaman, it brings like new life to the character, playing it in a way like I never thought about playing the character.
right.
Much like, not to like toot my own horn or anything, but I know you've seen me like rip aggro to tank while other warriors are getting beat on, trying to rip aggro off of
Hmm.
another mob or something. Pokin's beefy enough to tank, throw on counter attack once in a while. Now I'm 10 to 15 seconds where I'm not even taking damage.
Right.
It's hard to hold aggro. I'm not like an off tank. I'm not a shadow knight. I'm not a ranger with taunt. But if you do it right, you can see the rogue being used in different ways other than just backstabbing and doing average DPS, right?
Yeah, and so I think a lot of that comes just from doing, which I love, doing your research, learning like how to do certain things, talking with other people in your groups or guilds, and observing other people. Like if you're a rogue and see a rogue doing these things, be like, hey man, what are you doing? Like, how'd you do that? Can you give me a tip? And those kind of things are just passed along between each other. I know in EverQuest there are class channels for every server, and you can always just say, talk in there, and maybe you won't get trolled. There's going to be that one person that trolls you, but there'll also be that one person that sends you a private tell and be like, hey, if you want to talk about this, let me know. And that's I like the community in that way.
I don't know if you saw in Rogue Chat. I know a couple of times, maybe before you were on Yarnax, we had talked about like poisons and how poisons were important.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a master in poison making, 300 skill or whatever the highest is right now, with my ornaments and everything too.
Hmm.
Uh, but I don't use it often, and I feel like I know it's useful. I know it has its benefits, and I know coming up here it becomes more useful. But at the time, I know rogues were like, "Do I need to do this?" Because it's a unique rogue trait to be able to make poisons, right?
Right.
Um, and for some people to flat out be blatant in early expansions saying yes, yes, it's mandatory, do it. It's so important to make these poisons when really there's other options and the DPS that comes from doing the poisons. I mean, in our raids, I was still topping DPS charts without
Hmm.
having to put a poison on before every fight, So
Right.
I don't know. I think obviously there's different schools of thought too. I'm sure the same thing goes for bards and enchanters, shadow knights and stuff. Also shout out to Laurent and Arbitrage.
Hmm.
Those guys play shadow light knights like nobody's business too.
Yeah, I was gonna mention them. Like we were doing the Dinlet's army fight in Ashengate, and that's where you have like a swarm of NPCs that come at you. And we were doing well, and I look back and I just see Laurent running around in a circle with about 10 mobs following him. And I'm like, oh, that's where they all went.
It's so funny to watch too,
Yeah.
but I definitely appreciate those two guys so much because I see those guys play their characters and I'm not worried about what they're doing. I think that's part of the thing on how you know if somebody's playing their character well or not is like if we had a necro on, you have to tell them like, hey, you need to cast Dead Man Floating. We need it,
Hmm.
and then there's necros that'll play and it's already casted.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
they already know we're coming up to a spot where everybody's gonna need levitate.
Hmm.
And so yeah, stuff like that is how I think how you would transcend going from an average player to a great player. Just knowing
Yeah.
the layouts, knowing your character, knowing what's needed.
I think there's also like an attitude thing that's thrown in there. Um,
Confidence.
I'm not like saying confidence. Confidence is important, but I'm saying it's like a positive attitude about the situation where like the game's hard. You're going to wipe from time to time and you're going to get frustrated. And there's going to be people that you might know, hey, that person X caused this wipe. But you can be one of two people. One, you could, get angry at them and just tell them they're an idiot and maybe rage quit or even just don't say anything like that. Or you can um, be supportive of them and give them a tip like how not to repeat that again. I
Yeah,
think that,
and I think that's what was great about Pals was I know we had taken some
forget it.
you're the doctor here. Um but I think we've advanced some players that maybe hadn't met their milestone or their
Uh-huh.
ceiling and took them above that,
Right.
knowing that they had the ability to go above it, but uh, didn't really know how to get there. And all it took was some conversations, some helps, some tells, and some motivation. And obviously, they were able to transcend into everyday raiders that we've needed and that we've benefited by having on the raids.
Hmm. So
Now,
we're gonna go to the other side now.
yeah,
What makes so many? This is the part that's like easier. Like there's more ways to make yourself a bad player than there are to be a good player. I think being a good player probably comes naturally. I'd say most of the people, especially in pals, are great. I don't think we have any like bad players in pals. I don't mean to say that.
anymore.
Really, yeah, but I mean they come and go. I think we as a guild, we as pals, we recognize it and don't tolerate it. But there's just very few people. There's very few examples of this in pals, but it does happen.
One player that comes to mind is like the toxic player who
Hmm.
even may be good at their class, but they're bad at being
a human being.
kind, a, hu- a human being.
Yeah.
Um,
They have like a
they're,
chip on their
they're
shoulder. They can't tolerate any mistakes from anyone else. Like they're better than you, and they're going to let you know it.
and that's great because we can obviously see that you're a good player, that you know your class and we
Hmm.
know your character, but we don't want you here. You're
Yeah.
ruining the group. You're ruining the raid. You're making it unbearable to show up sometimes because of how your attitude comes across towards the people that I feel like a guild is a family, and
Yeah.
you're basically telling Uncle Sam there or Uncle Joe or whoever uh, to leave the dinner table, and you're like, "Hey, come on now, Uncle Joe's welcome to eat dinner with us, just like you are."
Like
So
you ain't holding your fork right. You need to get out of here. Goodbye. Get out.
right,
I don't want to watch
yeah,
you eat.
and I think that's obviously something that's very unique to the types of raiding that you want to do. I know there's hardcore guilds that uh, they don't let anybody slack off on their character, right?
Right. Yep.
And those people are probably welcome because they're the ones that are like, hey, we did an AFK check. I saw this person sitting there for 10 minutes and you didn't notice. Let's dock him DKP.
Right.
When, in our guild, we understand that maybe that person had to ninja AFK real quick because they have a kid or something,
Hmm. Yep. Let's see.
So toxicity, I think, would be a
It's
way
like
to
number
make
one
yourself.
because
You think
I think
so?
that's just, I think it's number one because I think that's something that can't be unlearned. I think that's something that is innate to, it's like part of their personality, even outside of EverQuest. I think, but a lot of that comes from, I mean, I'm not a psychologist, but I think some of that comes from inadequacies outside of EverQuest. They feel like they can be excel in EverQuest, but maybe outside of EverQuest, they're not having their best life. But inside EverQuest, they can have their best life, and so they're going to project that.
My number one would be not being able to like follow directions or learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, but I feel like that could be corrected if the person wants to. Now, if they don't want
No,
to,
no,
then
that's what I'm saying.
oh, just a total
They
sense of apathy.
they don't want to, or they
Yeah.
don't care, or they just are unable to.
Right.
Um, a story comes to mind where we were trying to go into Vishan's Peak, and we really only needed you only needed one character keyed at a time, right? We
Okay.
needed people keyed to get in there and try to start killing mobs. Um, and we were at the time waiting for this guy in our guild to he wanted to key all 6 of his characters. He wanted to level up all 6 of his boxes first before he got any of his keys or started working on his keys and stuff. And it's like, well, hang on, you don't need to bring all 6. Okay,
Just get the
first of
main
all,
keyed.
I don't know if I even trust you playing 6 characters at one single time. Anyways,
Yeah.
just get your main keyed. Come raid with us. He's the only one that's going to be earning DKP at the time, anyways. Why are you waiting and not being part of the guild and doing these raids? Oh, you're only hopping on and trying to make your own boxes and stuff better.
Right.
And when we tried to talk to this person, we're like, "Hey, listen, you gotta just one, just the one." And it was like in one ear and out the other.
Yeah. Yeah. When people have their mind made up about what they're going to do and they have no flexibility whatsoever, that doesn't make for a great person in a guild.
Yeah, I know we talked about knowing your class. Not knowing your class is also just as painful and making you a bad player, right?
Yeah.
So
But
I also know of a time where a player had he wanted to get an attack weapon
okay.
for his caster class because
Yeah.
in groups, um,
They like the
obviously
melee.
he'd like to melee, but he doesn't understand that he just took an attack weapon out of somebody's hands that would have
Right.
been beneficial for somebody else and not himself.
Yeah. And I could see I'm thinking about like a new person because on Thornblade, when we're playing, I hear people either coming back from a long time of not playing, or I've even heard people like starting the game fresh. And I was like, wow, and as old as this game is, there's still people like coming in brand new. And I think that's great. And I think it can even be done on Mangler. Like, I don't want to discourage people when we say like you don't know your class, and I don't want to discourage people from like starting off brand new. I think you can learn your class. I mean, I just wanted to make clear that it's people that don't know their class and don't want to increase their knowledge. They're like, I have this base set of skills, and that's all I'm going to do. Think about like Slow Coco if it wasn't my box, and I was that was my main, and like I said, all I do is slow and heal. That's not a good shaman. Like, you're not going to provide a lot of benefit to the raid. You need to be able to debuff, you need to be able to dot, you need to be able to crowd control with root and different things and really be on the swivel. So,
Yeah, I think that's a good point. New players are coming into a game that is hard to understand, hard to get a grasp on, and also hard to even like control in a
yeah,
sense because
right.
I mean having to hit Alt U, Alt Z,
Well, think
Alt
about like making
W.
a brand new character and logging into that UI. I think people have talked about that, the way EverQuest has their user interface set up when you first start playing. You got these windows like all over your screen with no idea like how to move them or what they are. And it's so intimidating.
That and like I know how to use the commands because I've played for such a long time, but if you're not doing a tutorial, you accidentally skipped a tutorial, you don't know how to communicate.
Nope.
You, you know, if hitting R for reply is super easy, but unless you're reading a manual, you're not going to know that R even does that.
Right. Yeah. And so, yeah, I forget some of the shortcuts from time to time. I'll be typing and then my target of target window will go away. And I'm like, what was that? Shift T, Alt T, and like I'm like trying different combinations of things to get it back.
Next thing you know, your group window's gone. You're
Exactly.
disbanded from the group. Your compass is not appearing. You're like, what
Exactly.
did
I'm
I
like,
do?
oh shit, what have I done? But
Do you
yeah.
have any stories about like players that you hope to never see again? Like bad players that you wish to never group with?
Oh man. No, I really don't. Like I'm trying to like while we were talking about this, I was trying to think of it, and I can't. Um, like so, I either just block them out of my memory, or I'm trying to think.
Manually block them on EverQuest
Yeah,
because you
yeah. There have
count
been
them all.
people I blocked on a request. Yeah, and I logged in, and I think that person he who should not be named, um, with the Vishan's Peak, is one of them. Uh, and I didn't even know who that person was until recently. But
Oh yeah, that's who I'm thinking about most of the time. Maybe one of the worst players I've ever played with.
yeah,
Um,
but like in a group, if if I'm the group leader, I just don't put up with that shit. I don't care if it's going to mean we're going to have to look for a new enchanter or a new healer. If somebody's being toxic to the group, I boot them immediately. And then if the other people complain, then I'll say, well, I'm not going to deal with it. I don't even ask. I boot them. Um,
it's really hard to forget that this is just a video game. Like people have lives out of here, you know.
yeah,
It's really easy to think like this is like a second life or like a second job or something. Um, but you got to remember like if I'm not having fun in a video game that's supposed to be causing me to have fun,
yep. That's
I'll
my attitude about it.
I'll just
I nip it in the
get
bud
off.
immediately. Just you're
Yeah.
gone. Um,
What do you feel about like people that are trolling or trollish? Because they can be both good and bad. I think.
yeah, I have fun with it sometimes. I think you saw like how I handle a troll. I don't argue with them head on because that's what they want. Um, I don't entertain their opinion because again, that's what they want. I usually just I try to show them kindness, and I feel like that's an emotion that they're used to seeing, and it kind of throws them off a little bit. I shower them with praise and affection in some ways, and they don't know how to deal with it. I feel like it just diffuses the situation, and lets it
Do
move
you,
on to somebody else.
do you think that groups and guilds need that that like one person that is like a troll, that is outspoken, that is
Well, I mean, we don't
they're
have it in
they're
PALs, and I'm happy for that.
you don't think so?
I can't think of anybody. I mean, if you could think about it, I wouldn't want to name them right now if you could think of anybody, but
I think
um,
myself.
I don't consider you a troll.
I
Like, I
feel I
don't.
feel like I do trolly things to like have fun though.
Okay, yeah, but I'm talking about somebody who's kind of toxic troll. Um,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I feel like trolls can be good and bad.
oh, okay, yeah, I poke fun at people. Like, if I'm making fun of, like, my personality is, if I'm making fun of you or ripping on you, then that means I like you. Like, if I don't,
Right, like Surge and his taunt button. Hi,
yes,
Surge.
yeah, I Surge.
Have you
Um,
found your taunt button yet?
yeah, you might want to put your shield on next time. Just saying, buddy. Yeah, just saying,
Uh,
buddy.
we play D&D with Surge. We group with Surge. We raid with Surge every night, and
Yeah,
I really like Surge.
I like Surge.
But Surge is not above getting picked on for having his bags messier than all hell
Yeah.
and not using his taunt button.
But also, I'm going to give Surge some praise. So we're not totally picking on him. He boxes 4 characters, boxes them well. He does an excellent job at mezzing, healing, and tanking. I couldn't do it. I don't even want to think about doing it. I hate one boxing, let alone 4 boxing. So yeah, shout out to you, dude. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if I didn't actually like care about him or didn't consider him a friend, then I wouldn't rip on him because I mean, like, I'm not wouldn't be comfortable with doing that. And so I feel like when I'm being, I guess, air quotes, trolly with somebody, that means it's somebody that I like.
Yeah, it's not in jest and trying to hurt their feelings or
Yeah.
anything. Just like I know often if you're ever on the Mangler or Thornblades general chat and you ask what function to open up a window, I'm gonna tell you it's Alt F4.
Yep.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
It just comes right off the fingers, Alt F4. And I hope 1 or 2 people hit Alt F4 and their computer shuts down first.
Yeah. I know some people do like /EX or /Q.
Mhm.
That'll fix it for you. That's a really good one
Uh,
for extended target window. Is
mhm,
/EX. That
mhm.
gets a lot of people.
Which will exit you out of the game, right?
Yeah, immediately. There's like no, I don't think it does. I don't remember if it does immediately or it gives you a pop-up window. It might be immediately. But yeah, those are different kinds of trolls. I think, like you said, those are, I guess, friendly trolls. But
I
it
can think
can,
of some trolling that happened like in OG EverQuest.
yeah. What you got?
Like you used to not have shared bank slots.
Right.
So you would have to put anything that you wanted to transfer to a box character in a bag on the ground, log your character off and then log your other character on.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever saw somebody like going to like the dark corners of Misty Thicket or something,
Yeah. Or in
uh,
Kelliston and by a tree or something.
you would follow them. What did say? Hey, what's this person doing over here?
Right.
And then if you saw a bag on the ground, do you pick it up?
Ooh.
Back in the day, you used to.
Pick it up and see. At least if it's inside.
Well, you found a fungi tunic. What do you do now?
Oh, I can't do that to somebody. I think I would pick it up and then let them like panic for a moment and then trade it back with them.
Yeah, that's very trolly, but
Yeah.
you're also being polite about it. You've given it back.
Yeah.
But people had to do that because they couldn't trust
Oh, I
anybody.
remember that. I mean, I had a friend, a real life friend who I played with. So if I want to do something like that, and I also had people, in game that I would transfer platinum or items with, and I mean, I would only have known them for like a month or something, and it was an opportunity for them to be a troll. But no, I never got burnt on any situation like that.
Do you remember very old EverQuest where the links to items didn't even exist?
Oh yeah, definitely.
To
Yeah.
view an item, you had to put it in a trade window. And then in the trade window, you were able to right click on the item and see it.
I don't remember doing that. I mean, I'm not saying. yeah, I understand. Like that's probably how it was done, but it just wasn't something I was really interested in. And like I remember looking up on like Alakazam if somebody said I have crafted gauntlets, and then I would want to see what they're like. I would look them up at Alakazam.
So I know for on Vishan the trade was not EC Tunnel. It was behind Jade's in East Freeport, North Freeport.
Okay,
Can't remember.
ours
Anyway,
was Greater Fay.
oh really?
Yeah, Greater Fay was the place to trade.
So if you would go up, somebody would say, "Hey, selling fungi, selling crafted, selling black fur boots or whatever." Um, you'd be like, "Okay, hey, let me see the stats on it or whatever. Show me what you got to buy," and they would put everything in a trade window with you.
Okay.
And sometimes, out of habit, they would click trade.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then if you were quick with it, you could click trade back. What are you going to say? People are going to dispute that the trade, wasn't supposed to happen. He clicked trade, I clicked trade, I got my items.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, reputation. So, back then, name change wasn't something. Did they do name changes?
No, I don't believe
I
so.
don't think they did. I mean, you would be your reputation would be marred, but it would also depend on the reputation of that seller. And so there'd be
Mhm.
that face off. Be like, we know this seller, we don't know this other person who stole the stuff. Like how? Yeah. It's like for me, I believe in karma in a lot of ways, and so you know, I don't I wouldn't do stuff like that, but yeah, it would be really tempting to do.
I also know, I know we've obviously gotten off. I think we understand the differences of like good and bad players, but I think we're talking about trolls now.
Yeah.
I I have another memory of like, oh, on a monk, like, hey, can you drag my corpse? Like, yeah, give me consent, and then you just
Oh,
drag your corpse deeper into into
yeah,
lower guck.
yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, back then, dying was horrible. Now I mean, and I think that's a lot of times when we group, and I'm really cautious for some reason. I have this instinct like death is terrible, and it's not so bad anymore. I should know that difference now, but um, yeah, doing something like that, you're basically wiping away all their gear, perhaps, because I think you had a few days to get it.
Oh, they would give you consent to drag their corpse, but when they gave you consent, you could loot their corpse, right?
Right? Right. Yeah. That was I think that was a not a great thing. But also I had
Let me just say, I'm glad those mechanics are out of the game now. But
right.
those are things that, I mean, you had to be so careful. There were so many. The risk versus reward back in the day was so bad, and then add on top of it, if you played on a Zek server where you're playing PvP, holy smokes!
Well, I think we're going to talk about this in another episode, but P99, like we need to talk about P99 because I know there's people that still play it, quite a few people, and I have experiences from P99. Did you ever play P99?
Let me tell you, I was gonna play P99 other than, instead of paying, right? I was gonna go
Yeah,
start a character. It was
right.
free. Just play and hop on and do some fun things, level up your character. But I'm a computer dum dum sometimes. I will be the first person to admit, like, trying to put Gina on the computer or a parser or something. If it's not just like plug and play where you download
Hmm.
the program and it just starts working for you, writing Gina commands or anything like that, no, no thank you. I cannot. I'm not interested in learning how to do it, so therefore I don't know how to do it, right?
Well, I guess this
Um,
is where being an old man became an advantage.
right. Well, yeah, because you guys had to do
We
MS
had to do
DOS
this stuff. Yeah, exactly.
on your Commodore 64 and shit, right?
Yeah, I had one.
So I'm sure you did,
Uh-huh.
old man.
That's right.
But yeah, so I tried to get the files to work for P99, and I followed the guide step by step, and I left with it not working. And when I asked some questions on how to get the files to work, because you have to like overwrite files and add these files and this
Right.
and that,
Yeah.
uh, it wasn't working. So I said, okay, well, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, but I think like the only reason I bring it up is because all these like quote old EverQuest things we're talking about still exist on P99. Like
I
the
think there's some quality of life on P99 though, where like, yeah, you have to do corpse runs, but I don't think like if you consent a player, they're gonna be able to loot your stuff anymore. I don't
right,
think
but
that.
don't you like die? Don't you appear naked at your bind?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think so. We'll
that's
have to
to me
ask.
like we'll have to test it out. But yeah, that's or we'll have to ask some people because I
What do you
know.
mean we?
Oh, well, I know
We
like
are not.
so. I don't think I'll be able to do it because I think like running both programs, I'm not savvy enough to do this. Where if you update the patcher, you can't play P99 anymore. But I don't want to delete all my stuff from the Mangler Thornblade stuff.
Yeah,
So I
your
think
UI and stuff. I
yeah,
know Rippy's played P99, and I also think I got a couple of guest star ideas for the future of people that have been on
guest
P99.
stars now. Okay.
Oh, guest hosts, guest players. Who do you want to call them?
Guests.
Guests. Okay. Um, I think we have a couple guests that frequent P99, so I
Okay.
think we'll be able to get those answers in the future. Maybe we'll have a P99 episode. I do want to. There's so many like unique servers, and not just P99. That's the most well known one, but I know there's like what is that, Alcabor or something like that.
Yeah, there's another one. It's easy mode and EZ, like the letters E and Z. And you think, oh, it's easy, like it's relatively simple. That's not what easy stood for. It's a expanded zones server, and the level. I think they increased the levels, they increased the experience rate, and also new items. Like everything is expanded, and I think they talk about like I was two boxing there, kind of messing around, and they said if you're not going to box an entire group, and you can use programs that they don't care, they don't have the rules that they have on EverQuest um, live. But I was like, do I really want a six box? I was like, no, I don't. So I just stopped playing. But it was really interesting. They introduced new quests and new mobs and new zones even on that server.
Yeah, I'd like to go through and maybe find a list of all the custom servers and shout them out. I know Pantheus might have some ideas about that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
shout out Pantheus on Twitch there.
Hmm.
He was in Pels on Mangler for a little bit.
Yeah,
Very good
he
guy.
helped Polly get um, part of his epic done. That if we ever had him on as a guest, I think he would be a guest star because I think
Pantheus, a
he's
guest star?
yeah, I think
Yeah.
he would be elevated to that guest star level. Um, but I would love to talk with
Our
him.
intro would have to be like some metal music though, because every time
Definitely.
I watch a stream, he's watching some metal stuff or listening to some metal music, and I'm
Yeah,
just watching them and jamming out. So that's
yeah.
fun. And his
Um,
cat, he has to bring his cat.
yes, Sasha is his cat's name.
Sasha, fuck,
Yeah,
I can't believe you remember that.
yeah. I watched Pantheus a lot, and it kind of, and I like the streamers. So like I there's other streamers out there, and I think we'll get to them eventually. But Pantheus for me really got me back into the game. I think I was watching Overwatch stuff while I was doing schoolwork, and I would be like researching stuff and just kind of have it on the background. And then one day I saw EverQuest as a tag. I was like, hey, EverQuest, let me check this out. And so when I checked it out, I mean, it was intense. Like you said, it was like metal music. He had like long hair and a beard, and I was like, who is this dude? And I just saw him playing, and he's one of those good players in so many ways. Like he might not be the absolute
And
like
kind.
and
I
kind,
like to say how kind he is.
yeah, and like he's not like the top-notch player that gets all the utility out of his class, but he knows his class and he plays it very well. And also, like you said, the kindness and just the chill. And like when I watched him play, I was like, that's the player I want to be. I want to be this person who's just chill with the game and is enjoying it. And I'm glad that, you know, it was really cool for me to know that he liked pals and I was already in pals. I didn't know they had a connection. And it was cool to raid with him just for a couple of times.
Yeah, very awesome. And he's, like I said, we haven't played together in a couple of months now. I would say almost pushing on a year. But anytime I pop into a stream and I say, "Hey, it's Pokin," he knows exactly who I am.
Yep.
And that's, romantic.
So yeah, you should definitely. I mean, there's other streamers as well on Twitch. Definitely check them out. And
110% go check out
go check out
Pantheus.
Pantheus.
So
Check him out first, and give him a
use
follow.
use your Amazon Prime subscription because I know all of you have it, and
Yep.
subscribe to him on Twitch. There,
Yep.
it's worth it.
Totally.
Okay, so I know we're getting close to the hour mark or right about there. I think I'm gonna ask you one more question.
Okay.
And this is an easy one. This is from the EverQuest forums. Okay, I don't know if you follow the forums at all.
Not really. I'm old.
But the question is, when you're done camping a named mob, do you kill the placeholder or do you leave it up?
Okay, so I killed a named mob. There's an empty spot there. For me, I'm done. I just walk away.
So you're farming Ghoul Lord, okay?
Yeah.
And Lower Duck.
Mm-hmm.
And you get your yak, okay?
Yep.
And you're happy. You're done. And now you just leave? You're done?
I'm
You're
done.
not going to keep farming it?
Well, I mean, what's the point of farming it if what I was hoping for I got? Then I'm done.
How about you're farming a mob, killing placeholder after placeholder after placeholder, and it doesn't drop the item that you're looking for. So
right.
you're killing the Ghoul Lord, and he doesn't drop the yak.
Yeah, this was happening. Let me give you an example of this. It actually did happen. So on my rogue poly, I wanted to get all the masks, the illusion masks, and I was down in Chardok killing the overseer Dizok or something. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. So for the halfling illusion mask, right?
Halfling illusion mask, right? And I could get it where I'm only killing the placeholder or the named. Right. And I got the halfling mask eventually. And there were times where I didn't get it, and I would kill the placeholder, or I'd kill the named, and I'd have to leave, and then so I would just leave.
So you would leave the placeholder up then?
No, I'd always kill the placeholder before leaving. Like if I was still there and I still wanted what I wanted, I would kill the placeholder
and then leave.
Yep.
Maybe the name would spawn after you left.
Yeah, but it's also dependent on how difficult that placeholder is. For me, at the level I was, it was simple. It died within like a minute, and there was no risk of dying. But if it was a challenging thing, then yeah, I guess maybe I'd leave it up. But more often than not, I would kill it.
I think I was trying to farm Shiny Metallic Robe for Pokin's Epic, maybe. And I'm sitting in Lower Guck and I'm killing the Archmagus. And if I get a placeholder, I'm leaving it up. I'm not going to just have you have the Archmagus up when you walk into the zone. I don't think that's cool.
Well, I think there's two.
Especially if I did all the work,
Yeah. So let me tell you my reasoning for killing the placeholder. Yes, there is a chance after you've logged out and then 20 minutes or whatever is later, the name could spawn and somebody could walk in and get it, right?
Right.
But what if that person who wanted it after you, and then you don't kill the placeholder, and then they have to kill placeholder after placeholder, and then you log in and hey, it's camped because player number 2 really wanted that shiny metallic robe. Now they're going to have to struggle for it. It's kind of an investment, maybe for yourself if no one else comes back, or maybe for the next person to get it faster. That way it's opened up for you that much earlier.
I know too many variables on that. I'm definitely you're killing the placeholder. I'm leaving it up. So
Yeah.
we're of two different schools there.
Yep. So I
Cool.
don't want
Well,
to
I thought that
follow
was
you after camp.
no, no, because I'm making you do at least another 20-minute spawn of archmages.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think this was a good episode. I know it took a little bit to get into the EverQuest meat part of the episode, but I had fun talking about Time Bandits. Had fun talking about Instagram and some social
Yeah.
media
What
and
makes a
stuff.
good
And
or bad player?
that was great.
Yeah, it really made me think about those topics. Like we didn't, I think this is great for us to do sometimes, where we didn't really have a topic in mind, but we just kind of like talked about whatever was on our mind at the moment.
I
And
had a
trolling
topic
was
in
on our.
mind, but I didn't want you to know about it. So
Oh, so you wanted me to be on the ball off the cuff, but you
yeah.
kind of had your mind. All
I
right.
also I think I'm gonna get some trivia questions for you maybe next episode.
Sounds like work.
Yeah, but there's some learning involved, I think. Maybe.
I'm done learning. I got my PhD. Let me just stop it.
Okay, well,
Cool.
I think like I said, great episode. I'm off for the next couple of days. Maybe we can do another one this weekend.
Yeah, I think so. I think we also need to spend a lot of time on Thornblade. This weekend is, I mean, if you're listening to this later, it's not going to be this weekend. But if you're listening to it shorter after the release, we got bonus experience on all the servers. 70%, 76% bonus for the 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, how long is that going for? Do you know?
Probably until Monday. I don't know. Because Sunday is.
Until it's a week. It's starting July 1st until July 8th at
Oh
11
my God.
p.m. Pacific.
Well,
So I know I need some power sources. Let's go get those bad boys,
I need
and
one
so I don't
too.
need to get those anymore. And
Yeah.
then let's also do some Thornblade. We could probably get up with 76% increase in levels. What level do you think we're getting to? I'm thinking we're getting
In
at
a
least
week?
35 with
I think
4 or 5
35,
days
40.
left.
Just depends on your
If you're
schedule.
free, I'm free until Sunday.
Okay.
So
All right, I
you
got a
got
little
that.
work to do, but we'll make it work.
Quit your job.
I kind of did.
So all right, cue up that outro music so we can get on out of here.
Oh, by the way, I got new outro music.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
Play it.
Playing it.